These Disneyland attraction posters arrived at our studio with edgeware, staining, and tape securing them to a cardboard backing. Like many posters from this era, they weren't meant to last. They were printed to be displayed briefly and then replaced. Decades later, surviving examples like these have become highly collectible pieces of Disney history, and that's what brings them to our studio, so that they can be cleaned, stabilized, and carefully restored. Throughout this process, we're joined by Cory Brooks. He's a Disney Memorabilia Specialist and Auctioneer who helped provide context around the history and significance of these posters.
The surviving examples we have today are scarce because they're vintage posters, hand-pulled silkscreens. Any of them that are surviving are a true relic of the past original Disneyland history.
Before we can linen back the posters, they first need to be removed from the cardboard backing, along with any remaining tape or adhesive residue. This step is essential. The poster needs a clean, stable surface so the water-based adhesive can properly bond during the linen backing process. This tape is highly acidic, and if left untreated, it will continue to discolor and deteriorate the paper over time.
These were posters designed and created to be used at Disneyland to sort of entice people of what's to come when they visit the park. These large posters, in general, are about 36 inches by 54 inches. They're very large, and they were intended to be displayed at Disneyland. So you have these silk-screened posters that are sort of in the style of the mid-century 1950s travel posters. And a lot of the ones that you see were designed by Imagineers such as Bjorn Aronson, and some of the ones you guys have, including the sailing ship Columbia and the Disneyland Hotel attraction poster, were designed by Aronson, whose background was actually in designing travel posters before he worked at Disney. So you have these stylish, colorful, attractive posters that you could walk into Disneyland and see them and think, oh, I really want to go visit that attraction.
We start with our standard process of gently washing the paper with filtered water and a mild detergent. This relaxes the paper fibers, helps flatten the print, and removes impurities that have built up over time.
Not every attraction had an attraction poster made for it. And some, even that were open much earlier, like the Snow White attraction in Fantasyland, didn't have a poster until its 1980s version that came out for Snow White's Scary Adventures. But other attractions that were opening day attractions had attraction posters. It was really just to help entice to different lands, different attractions, to show off what was this theme park. I mean, at the time, Disneyland was such a new concept. We kind of think about it today like, oh, I can't even imagine a world without Disneyland. But back then, when it first opened, they really had to have a lot of primers and things that would encourage guests to go to the different lands of the park and explain what they were and kind of tease what was coming, because it was such a new concept. These posters really helped to provide a visual, immediate understanding of what was that next thing you could go see.
We introduce a controlled bleaching agent to address acidity and brighten the paper stock. Acid causes paper fibers to weaken and discolor over time, so reducing it helps preserve the structure of the paper while also improving the vibrancy of the inks.
The Disneyland Hotel poster sort of entices the proximity of the hotel to the park, so it's showing off all of the exciting things you could see at Disneyland in that one poster. So if you look really close, you can see graphically designed elements that are using really minimal color, but it's amazing how much detail they can put in that poster and how many elements of the park are shown in that one specific poster.
With the posters cleaned, a reversible adhesive is applied to the back. Each one is then mounted to a stretched canvas frame lined with acid-free barrier paper.
One of the more dynamic posters, one of the visually striking ones, is the Primeval World poster. It's famously large yellow with the dinosaurs. That poster is pretty special. It came out in 1966. It was designed by Imagineer Claude Coates. And that attraction is pretty unique as well. Those dinosaurs you see on there, that diorama of the Disneyland Railroad, it utilized elements from the 1964-1965 New York World's Fair. So Disney worked with Ford on the Magic Skyway Pavilion, and it took guests in a physical Ford vehicle through the past with the dinosaurs, through a caveman era, and through a future city setting. And after the World's Fair closed in '65, they reused those dinosaur pieces as part of the Disneyland Railroad in a special diorama, Primeval World. And that poster is pretty unique. It's so visually striking in its color use. Claude Coates is just a true genius. If you look at the detail in it, it's a remarkable poster.
Before any restoration work is performed, our team carefully prepares the poster to ensure the final results are as seamless as possible.
I often get asked, what is the rarest Disneyland attraction poster? And that's a difficult question to answer because what rare means to different people may give you a different answer. If you're asking what the most expensive one is, the most expensive one I've seen sell in auction was actually an Autopia attraction poster, which went for $250,000, which is a bit of an outlier. They don't normally go for that range, but it was a byproduct of being in the right sale at the right time, and we saw an extraordinary price.
Methyl cellulose is applied to help smooth raised or uneven areas in the paper. Controlled heat and a Teflon burnisher are then used to gently press those areas flat. Small holes and tears are filled using an acid-free compound. Once dry, the excess filler is carefully removed to create a smooth surface for inpainting. With the poster fully prepped, restoration can now begin. Inpainting is performed using water-based paints to cover damage and fill in missing pigment.
The big one that most people would, and I'd probably argue, is the most rare, is the Casa de Fritos attraction poster. The Casa de Fritos, House of the Fritos, was the restaurant in Frontierland that was a partnership with Frito potato, like the chips, the corn chips. The Casa de Fritos restaurant in Frontierland is pretty important today. Doritos chips actually originated from that location. In the 1960s, that restaurant, they noticed that they were throwing away the tortillas at the end of the night that they didn't use. And they realized if they could be cut into triangles and fried, they could then offer them that way and not have to waste so much of their tortillas. And that's where Doritos originated from. So that restaurant is pretty important if you're a snack lover, but that poster in particular is a really hard one to find. It's most people that are trying to collect one of every poster, that is one of the ones that they're missing. So when that one comes up to market, even though it may not be as recognizable to most people in the same way that like a Haunted Mansion poster or a Pirates of the Caribbean poster might be recognizable to most people probably wouldn't recognize the Casa de Fritos, but it's so rare that when it comes up, those collectors go after it, and we see high prices on those posters. They were silkscreened, hand silkscreened, color layer by color layer, which is a process they don't do much of anymore. It's closer to a painting than it is a print because it is actual color applied on there by these artisans. That technique really isn't done much anymore.
Disneyland attraction posters were originally produced using silkscreen printing, which means the artwork is made up of smooth, flat layers of color laid down one at a time. So airbrushing will help us achieve a more seamless result. Its fine, misted application allows color to be built up smoothly and evenly, helping restoration blend into the original pigment without visible brush marks or texture differences. To get started, we apply low-tack tape and cut a precise mask around the areas not being restored using an X-Acto blade. The artist applies a calibrated amount of pressure, just enough to cut through the tape without scoring the poster. They listen for a subtle snap and feel the shift in pressure under their hand that signals a clean cut. This is incredibly time-consuming and meticulous.
Because these posters, many of them date back to 1955, 1956, the fact that they even survive today in any condition is pretty remarkable. And for some of them, there are condition defects or damage or things that have occurred over those decades since it was first created. And when it comes to conversation about should this be undergo some restoration, or should it go under linen backing, or should it have any of these types of services provided for it so that it can look as it did when it was created, that's something that needs to be weighed by the collector. Different buyers of these and different owners of them are going to have different opinions. Some want it to be as original as it possibly could, and that to them, even if it has a nick or a tear, that is part of its original state, and that's okay for them. Others want to display it and want it to display as well as possible, and might be more receptive to wanting it to undergo some amount of conservation or restoration. And the beauty in it is that largely you get to decide as the owner of this. There are conversations to be had, and individuals and the people here at Fourth Cone Restoration can help you figure out what's right for your situation. But when it comes to, does that affect the value, or how does that play into like an auction market? It really depends on the individual item. I would say if you're talking in more of a general sense, Would everyone prefer a poster that's mint that needs no additional work to it? Of course, but when it comes to items like this that are so rare in any condition, sometimes you have to consider, well, what is needed to really present that in the way that I want it presented.
Once the restoration is complete, the piece is removed from the frame and a 1-inch linen margin is trimmed around the edges.
Disney in general has been collected for as long as the company's been around, and when it comes to things like the theme parks, which Disneyland opened in 1955, these posters have, in some instances, been owned by individuals ever since then. It wasn't until maybe around the mid-2010s, so 2015 or so, where theme park collectibles, props, and artifacts really exploded into a sort of a new light, and it brought a lot of fresh collectors to it that up until that point didn't know you could own an attraction poster. And we see with the market when that happens, and you have tons of new individuals learning about it for the first time, you see things in like an auction price go up for attraction posters. And so we've seen some highs and lows over the last decade for attraction posters. It definitely depends on which ones. Certain ones in the right auction prices can always vary a bit. But as far as like a general trend, I mean, before 2015, some of these posters were even just a few $100s. You had to kind of be in the know to know you could even get them. And the market was just smaller for that kind of collectible. When it comes to which one should I collect, should I be buying for an investment purpose? Should I be buying thinking the value is going to change? I tend to recommend trying not to buy it as an investment piece, but try to buy it, the one that is special to you. I mean, I've met people that collect because they met on the Haunted Mansion. They wanted a Haunted Mansion attraction poster for their house. And I met people whose parents worked on the Matterhorn and they wanted the Matterhorn poster. Get it because it's something that you are going to be happy with and enjoy.
A special thank you to Cory for taking the time to speak with us and for sharing his insight and expertise on the history and significance of these posters. These Disneyland attraction posters helped shape how generations of Disney-goers imagined the park before experiencing each land firsthand. Preserving these pieces for display has been incredibly rewarding, and we're thrilled with how they came out. As always, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you're a fan of Disney, be sure to check out this video where we restore a classic Rescuers movie poster. And if you enjoy ASMR, check out our channel Fourth Cone ASMR, where we share the satisfying sounds of our studio with no music and no narration.